Speaking of maybe not so cheap transfers, what happened with Eden Hazard and what has happened with him, but apparently he has a new role. That's what AS at least has said, and apparently this new role would have to do with replacing Benzema when he isn't available, or if he wants to be physically fit, which of course we know he wants to be 150% for the World Cup. Sid, what do you think of this?
I think it's looking for a solution for a position that's problematic for Real Madrid, and I think it's looking for a solution for Hazard himself. And it's been a really, really difficult time for him at Real Madrid. I think there was a period during last season when Ancelotti said publicly, look, this isn't really about is he fit, is he available. The bottom line is I've got players ahead of him who I like more at the moment. And that's Eden's biggest problem, is there are other players who I like more. And of course that's to do with physical condition, to do with the sense that Hazard isn't the player that he once had been, because he's been through so many injury problems. But it was also, I think, about just the level of his performance. Now this poses a really significant question, I think, about both Mariano and Jovic, who should have been the backup for Benzema and haven't succeeded at all. Ancelotti this year has played false nines. He's played Isco at false nine. He's played Asensio at false nine. He even pushed Modric right up the top of the pitch early in the season in Europe. And I think this really responds to that, about trying to find a solution both for Hazard, if he's going to end up staying and there isn't anywhere that you can move him on to, there isn't anywhere that he wants to go, and trying to find some sort of role for him, because the truth is that there just hasn't been one. And it's really quite sad, actually, because this was at least a wonderful player, and now of course everyone's clinging on to the hope that maybe by just giving him some minutes in a position that potentially suits him, and although I must confess I'm not sure if it does, that maybe they can get some kind of performance out of him.
Are you buying this, Greg?
Is this wishful thinking weekend or what? I mean, it's not happening. He's not going to get the best out of him. He's not going to replace Benzema when he's injured or he's out, because, as Sid mentioned, he was injured last year and he tried everybody in that position, couldn't make it work. He's not going to replace Valverde or Asensio. He's not going to replace Vinicius Jr. And that's a slight on him. And when Ancelotti says that one of the best players in the last 10 years in the Premier League, a guy who carried our former club for quite a few seasons, pretty much on his own, when you've got Ancelotti saying, I actually prefer other players at the moment, that tells you what he's been all about at Real Madrid. And yeah, I get the injuries, but he hasn't looked after himself. He admitted it himself. He came back overweight. Now, this is not the 90s when we used to do that and think we could get away with it. The game has changed. The way that the players approach the game has changed. The way that the managers and the clubs and the sports scientists approach it. Now, we wouldn't have liked it to a certain extent, pretty much, and specifically the British players, because it was new to us. But that's the way the games in these elite clubs are structured now. And when you go there, you've got to bet your bottom dollar that you have to adhere to what these clubs want to be the best that you can. And he has not been that. He's not even been close. So this is just wishful thinking that you'll just plug him in all of a sudden and he lights up, the battery's recharged, and he's going to be the old Eden Hazard. No, that ship has sailed a good 24 months ago.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.